This is episode 305 of the Gold Squadron podcast. I'm your host, Gio Morales, and today I'm joined by Marcel, calm before the store, Manzano. What are we, like 6 weeks? 7? Soon. Some people might not even know what you're talking about. We'll find out soon. Will, it doesn't matter if you win by an inch or a mile. Higwood.
Winning is winning.
Ryan, there is no escape, Staniszewski.
Because it's a trap. You can't escape it.
And our guest, Niklas, I'm the world champion. God.
Hey, guys.
So as for announcements and news, we're going to be covering the AMG panel that happened at Adepticon because we didn't have time to talk about it last week. But this week, we're starting off with our guest, our reigning world champion, Niklas. We got to start with a round of applause. Yeah. All right. So, first, Niklas, let's say, I think if anybody has been paying attention to GSP content over the last couple years, they should have at least kind of know who you are, loosely connected, at least heard of you, because you've done pretty well in our events and things like that. For somebody who's never heard of you, give us tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from? How'd you start X-Wing? All that good stuff.
Well, Swedish player. I started playing X-Wing about a year before second edition came out. So I had all the good stuff there in the end and have been playing ever since. Mainly I started playing casually, but I'm kind of a tryhard sometimes, even though I have a tendency to keep sticking to my weird lists, and it's been working out lately, so just keep going on that.
Yeah, so one of the big things Niklas has been known for is doing really well, getting he's won several Galaxies qualifiers. You win 2 of those or 1 of those? I don't remember. Or at least
I think 2.
Yeah. So, but with a list that is just a little different than what everybody else is playing. For anybody who's living under a rock, what did you bring for the World Championship?
To the World Championship, I brought the 4 TIE fighters in FO and Ember backdraft. So the regular 4 is just DT, Scorch, Gaelic, and Malorus.
So now I know there's a lot of decision making that goes into what list you're bringing. Why'd you bring what you brought?
It was sort of an evolution, because mainly I usually play Scum because I like the shenanigans. But after playing in Hanover, I noticed that every game was just a slugfest and hard to try and win with Scum. So switched over to Republic. They got a bunch of new toys in the Siege of Coruscant set, which seemed fun. Play against a local guy who's really good. Sadly enough, he doesn't travel for tournaments. But when I played against him, I noticed that if you're using munitions and such, you don't really get 4 dice at range 1 in Republic. So I couldn't get any damage on 3 agility. So I switched over to FO, which has a really easy time to throw 4 dice consistently throughout their faction. So I just went with that and kept on jousting and forcing jousts everywhere. Also, Ember keeps being MVP in most games.
And that was actually exactly where I was going. Looking at the 4 TIE fighters, those 4 are not a surprise, right? Because those are obviously the best 4 TIE fighters in FO. But the twist here is Backdraft and Ember. What about those 2 pieces? Why not bring a Silencer or a Whisper, which a lot of people are bringing with those 4 TIE FOs?
Mainly because I've noticed that with Road, I have a hard time playing a proper ace game. So usually I want to go for something where I can just trick my opponent into doing something silly. With Backdraft, that's usually just playing an objective and running away. and people keep chasing him. And every game, I leave Ember out to dry during the first rounds. And almost every game where people chase Ember, they lose because they engage with at least 2/3 of their list, and they don't kill Ember. And Ember just keeps dancing around, having elusive and lone wolf, and taking focuses all the time, and being squirrely. So Ember just makes sure that nobody engages with the rest of the squad, which worked out great for me at least.
Well, yeah. So that means anybody who net lists your list, the idea is now just don't go after Ember. And
Yeah, I don't think I can win Worlds if that would be next week.
right.
As long as people know that you don't go after Ember, it's gonna be way easier to beat the list.
Well, it's one of those where it mattered. The strategy worked when it mattered. So that ends up working out. Now, before I could go on here forever. Marcel, Will, Ryan, feel free to throw out some questions for Niklas.
Yeah, I got a question, but first, congratulations again.
Thanks.
You know, it's always nice. Well, it's not always nice. It was the first time I saw you. I think, unless you were at the 2019 Worlds.
No, he was.
I was at 2019, but I got knocked out in top 8, I believe.
Oh, okay. Only top 8. Well,
I know he was there because he kicked my butt in top 32.
Well, congratulations. The question I was going to ask is, how did you do in Swiss, and what did you? There was no undefeated. So what did you draw or lose against in your Swiss?
Oh,
round?
I
What
lost
gave you
against Team Arabe with double fire sprays in chance engagement, and then against Ollie, and I lost against both those guys during day 1, so I got kind of worried, but just hunkered down and kept playing, and worked out in the end, thankfully. But yeah, I had a hard time against Ollie with his aces and Gideon, since I can't use any elusive or focus or rerolls anywhere.
Nice. So you came into day 2 as a 3-2 you have to win 5 games to advance.
Yeah,
And
so that was a slugfest.
so you were playing elimination from day 2.
Yeah. Did not expect to go 8 straight wins from there.
So what was your preparation like for this? Did you, now you said, did you jump on this list right away, or were you trying out other lists in your preparation before Worlds?
I tried out quite a few lists. I mainly just tried to find something that suited my playstyle, since sure there can be good lists, but I don't really have that great of a playstyle when it comes to aces, but I can usually force a joust that I want in most instances. So I had to go through several iterations. So I tried out Republic, bought a bunch of new stuff for that, because apparently I hadn't even bought a core set for that. Tried out Resistance, tried out Rebels, not for long, and then landed in FO. But I had a lot of list building going on, but not a lot of play testing with each list. So I'm kind of limited at the moment how much time I could practice.
After 13 games, would you make any changes to this list?
To this list, actually, no. I'm really satisfied with how everything turned out. A lot of people have been questioning why I'm not using shield upgrade, but I haven't had one game where I felt, oh, I should have used shield upgrade here instead of advanced optics.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I've been on the optics train as well. I mean, how often does everybody get shot? Like most of the time, you're bringing those focuses for offense anyway, so it makes sense to me. And if that elusive hits, it was a shield upgrade anyways.
Yeah, and that hits rudely often, especially when you already have the focus.
Yeah, if you are only taking one shot around, you're willing to spend that focus on defense with the elusive. Not a problem.
Yeah. Usually, what happens is someone dedicates their squad into killing Scorch or DT, and you just spend the focus for defense. Sure, you don't get the mods, but what usually happened was everyone went for Scorch first, managed to do 1 shield damage, which activated Fanatical, and then I'm still fine with spending focus. So Scorch usually never dies during the first engagements, and then you just run away, which does a lot of heavy lifting. So it works out.
Did you have any particular game plans for each scenario? Like, did you have ships in mind that, oh, these are generally going to be who I want to pick up crates or press the button for scramble, or ships you wanted to maybe occupy the middle of the board for chance, and ships you might want to keep out? And similar effect to that in assault. And I also would want to know your obstacle choices and why you landed on those two.
Mainly, I always set up in similar ways. So Ember was always meant to be on the side, to get the scramble during scrambles, and then force the joust through the other side of the board. With crates, backdraft always in the middle, picking up a crate. So I always deployed one of the crates deep in my starting zone, and I didn't really care about where the other crates went. Had several games where I could just force people to disengage, since I just go 5 straight and then let Gaelic or someone who's not really that important for the offense pick up a crate and come after the squad after a while. Because mainly it was DT and Scorch need to cover a distance and then start shooting. But mainly Scorch and DT didn't really do objectives, while Gaelic and Malorus, together with Backdraft and Ember, kept going for objectives. So they could split up, since I'm not really tethered to any of the other ships, and everyone went for their own objective. So usually I got at least 3 points on objectives each round, unless it's scramble. So it's an easy time picking up objectives.
I mean, you definitely got the bodies for it.
Exactly.
And then, I said, what was your obstacle choices? I didn't get a chance to see that, and why.
I went with just the 3 regular gas clouds, and the main reason for that was just because I can still fly through them without any major consequences. I've had several games, like in top 8 against Nathan, I just 5 straight through a gas cloud. Hope to not roll any hits for the ion, and then don't, and claim center objective, since you still get the actions. Sure, I would have gotten the focus if I got ionized, but it's still a nice way to just keep the control area of the board, since I don't really have that much health, but it's nice to just go somewhere, take a focus, since I always take focus with advanced optics.
Like, yeah, I guess I hadn't thought about it that way. When your ships basically are only ever focusing anyway, you're not really taking a risk if the position is really what you're after, and you have an opportunity for upside, like being able to claim something. Or in assault at the satellite array, you're just there. You did the job.
Yeah, they're done.
Yeah.
Also, getting ionized actually gives me a new dial, which is also nice.
Free breaks included.
Yeah.
So, tell me, outside of the actual games themselves, like, Tell me about the after winning. Like, what did that feel like? What has like the last week been? How I'm assuming a lot of the people that from Sweden that didn't travel, that must have been quite the uh, homecoming from your local group. Just yeah, just how was it? How did you celebrate that night? And how's it been for the last week?
It's been kind of weird. I still haven't really come to terms with it. There's been a lot of handshaking everywhere I go, and a lot of congratulations. But yeah, it still feels weird. We went out to dinner after the day and went somewhere to just eat some steak since I hadn't really eaten properly for a few days. But all the nerves just started to flow away. But it's been several hard days during the play, and then just having that euphoria of winning and being really touched emotionally by how many people that wanted to see me win, and how many people just write and tell me how they think I deserved it, and just how many people that seem to like me in the community, which is emotionally kind of overwhelming.
I mean,
So
I know
there's been a lot of emotions.
from our side, we're always talking you up. We're like, Niklas, God, he's a cool guy. He's a great X-Wing player. Like that's my narrative all the time. So yeah, man, it's you did.
That's my next question. What do you got brewing?
What's next?
You're talking about scum that you didn't think was quite on par, but what things have you been trying out?
Well, that's something that's kind of interesting for me, since now that Worlds is done, I've just been burning with desire to build new lists and try new stuff. So at the moment, I've been trying Sunfac with a bunch of droids, which has been a blast to fly, and just a bunch of random I5s in Separatist. Haven't really gotten to Scum with anything good yet, but
No Chemo's Gilas, huh? Not enough
no,
Gila?
I'm still hoping for that starter pack with Star Viper, Kirax, and Kimogilas.
We just call it the Nicholas God Squad Pack,
Yeah.
right?
I mean, I wouldn't be happy with that.
we're you know what? Listen, I remember in previous World Championships they'd give the World Champion just like a little edge in the game. You should just send them an email like, hey, as the World Champion, I'd really like to see this. I think it'd be really great, and you give them a big wink.
Just send them a wish list.
Yeah, just like please. It doesn't hurt to ask, right? And then I mean, think about it from their side. They have this great narrative, like after being inspired by World Champion Nicholas God, we are releasing. Come on, like that just writes itself. That's good publishing, good copy right there. Now there are a couple of like dramatic things that we got to talk about, and you know I was gonna bring it up. Let's talk about the Dice Cup. Let's talk about it. It's everybody's favorite thing. I'm working on the GIF right now. Like it's gonna be great. It's gonna be part of the GSP chat. So, how'd you come up with your mojo with the cup? Is it something? If you always use a dice cup when you play in person, something newer, the steps.
It's usually something I only do during tournaments. Since I don't really use it in local play, it's a hassle to bring the cup. Can't really fit it in the bag. But during tournaments, I noticed that it's a good way for me to remove the anxiety of rolling dice. Since if I roll the dice on the table, I always can get that feeling, oh, I should have rolled better. Or
Not
something
enough
like
wrist action.
Exactly. Oh, I should have thrown him higher. Oh no, I see how that just blanked out. In the dice cup, if I just do a slight stroke of it or roll it, I don't get that feeling of, oh, I could have done that differently. It's just after I lift the cup, oh, okay.
There are the
that's
results.
what it is.
To be fair, I hope more people start doing that. Not your patented rub and.
No, they got to come up with their own.
Arrest-
They got to come up with their own thing.
But
yeah, for sure.
Especially me, I'm thinking like I might pick it up as well. Mostly for different reasons, though. I understand the anxiety portion, but one of the things that came up again for me, not playing in a tournament in a long time, is how bouncy those dice can be, and just going on the table, rolling around, hitting ships. That happened a couple times where you roll and the ship just kind of like moves a little bit, and now you've kind of messed up the game state. Cocked dice is so it seems to solve a lot of those other things as well, and I think it's something that I would encourage people and myself to kind of take up, even if it's for the feeling of it, or for not messing up the game state, or having a dice roll off the table into somebody else's table or something like that.
Agree 100% because I'm a aggressive dice roller, so I've definitely had that happen where I just really want some result and then toss the dice over the table and then just mess up an entire block zone and everything falls apart.
That just adds to the level of possible anxiety. Not only did I messed up the dice, and I messed up the whole game. All right, so now we've learned that. We did kind of we suspected that there was some type of like a removal of the process in that when we were kind of speculating last week. So, but good job, gentlemen. Good job. Good sleuthing there. Now let's talk about the end of the game.
Wait. It could also be magic.
It could be magic.
Was it
Could be.
magic? I'm just saying.
I mean, from a certain point of view, it was good. It did a job. It worked out. Right? All right. So the game, in and of itself, it was a super exciting game to commentate and to watch. The turn that I keep thinking about is, so for anybody who doesn't know, the name of the runner-up was Andrew Cox. He was playing an Imperial squad, Darth Vader, Vermeil, couple of TIE fighters. And there was a fifth ship, wasn't there? Was there 5 ships or 4?
It was 5.
Iden and the boys.
Iden, there it is.
Vader and Farrell.
So the turn where Vader does a K turn and ends up outside of that range 2, and you got those 2 objective points because Andrew decided, to create that space that he wanted to. Like, those 2 points were massive in the result. And of course, we didn't have a table mic there. Do you remember? Was there any discussion or any commentary from Andrew or maybe something you remember at the table about missing that center objective?
Not much. I could tell from his body language that he wasn't pleased with the Reaper being out from center objective, because we didn't measure the Reaper the turn before since Vader was so obviously next to it.
Right.
But I could slightly tell that the Reaper was out, so his 4K slightly surprised me. But I think it was the correct choice to go for the 4K. Otherwise, he would have Ember so close behind him, just keep throwing 4 dice or 2 dice, 3 dice double modded. So Vader needed to create some space. And I also think it was the correct choice of him to not use the afterburners at that point.
And that was my next question. Yeah.
If he hadn't used the afterburners, then he would have been in an awful position with Vader for next turn. And I probably would have gotten better shots with most of my ships if he had boosted in. So keeping him at range 3 still kept Vader alive, because there's a real possibility that he dies if he boosts in at that moment.
All right, then we get to the last turn of the game. The Reaper's in the corner. Like, James and I were convinced that you were going to pounce on the Reaper. But the ships kind of ended up going more towards one of the TIE fighters that ends up kind of running away. Can you give me kind of the play-by-play on that decision-making? Or was there a mix-up or anything like that? We just kind of I want to know, because I was sitting there, was convinced. I was like, my whole body was like, oh, he's going to go for the Reaper. And we were like, what happened? What happened there?
So during the last turn, it was just a common instance of gaming fatigue, more or less, because I was just mud in the head.
Had you played 15 games of X-Wing or something? Like, I don't understand what.
13 games or something? Yeah.
Just a couple.
But yeah, so at the start of that turn, I was just feeling I need to keep my points, and I didn't really think I could kill the Reaper, because I slightly discreetly looked over and I only saw a damage card and fuel leak on it. So in my head, I said, oh, it has 4 health. And I couldn't justify sending Ember there and hoping I wouldn't get 1 blank dice, since Feroth would probably get a free evade. If I had realized and counted properly and realized that it had 2 health left with a fuel leak, I would just 2 straight at Malorus and fire the mag bolts.
Right.
But with the 5 straight on Gaelic, main reason there was so many ways for him to just block and make sure that I wasn't in range 2 of the center objective. Because if Gaelic bumped anywhere, I'm not in contestation for the center objective. So the 5 straight solved that. Backdraft couldn't do anything about it. 2 bank was the best option. I just hoped that he wouldn't get so much paint while he 4K'd.
Yeah.
DT in the corner, just brain fudge on that. I could have just too hard to the board edge and taken the focus. There was no reason for me to turn in. All
right, cool. Well, thank you for giving us that insight. See, not everybody's willing to admit when they have a brain fart. You know, I know that happened to me all the time. So, I mean, but playing 13 games of X-Wing, 100% understandable.
Yeah. Both me and Cox was feeling the fatigue at that point. For example, the one time you see when he did the 5 straight with, I think, Backstabber, and just flew past my entire squad.
Yeah.
I think he was planning on having that bump my Gaelic and just staying put and taking a focus. Since he could have saved him with Iden, since Iden never got spent.
Right.
Also, pro tip, children, Iden can only help TIE fighters, apparently. I got that pointed out to me afterwards. I was wondering the entire game why he was not spending the Iden charge on Vader or the Reaper.
There we go. We learned. See, everybody, even the world champion, can miss a rule here or there. All right, so we finished that final round. We count up the points. It's a tie. For anybody who hasn't seen this, it's a tie. We go to the final roll off. I don't know. It doesn't have an official name, but essentially a road roll, a player order roll for it. Like how were you feeling in that moment, knowing that it comes down, like all of your work now comes down to this final dice roll?
It was excruciating.
That's a good word.
Yeah, there was a lot of adrenaline pumping at that moment. But it was one of those, I felt I had done all I could do at that moment, since I just wanted Backdraft to survive in some way, which he didn't, but it was one of those, either he survives or not. It's just a simple die roll. Thankfully, the die roll in the end came to my conclusion as well. But yeah, it was very exciting to have that last roll be the decider.
That's awesome.
And I really appreciated your points last week as well. That roll could have just been any of the other shots in the game.
Yeah.
Which is true.
Yeah, and that's I mean, let me talk not to you, Niklas, but to the audience as a whole. One of the things in the reality is, like, I know that there are people who are like, I don't like that the World Championship ended on a roll, but like literally the entire game has dice. That could have been, so for instance, if that dice roll would have been like a range 3 shot through a rock and you end up killing somebody, literally nobody would be complaining, right? There wouldn't be anybody. But that's like the dice are part of the game. Like that's part of it. For it to end on a player roll, I just think it's super dramatic, and it was good. I would tell you it was good TV. I couldn't have written up better myself. But yeah, definitely it's part of the game. Dice are part of it, and both of you fought, you know, just an amazing game. Obviously, to get all the way to the final, so many things had to go right for each of you to end up there. And in reality, when it comes to this game, yes, there's decision making, and I would say both of you made a bunch of correct decisions, but you had one more thing go right for you than Andrew did, and that's why you're the champion now, which is great, and you deserve it. Now,
thank you.
Of course. Now, one thing I want to do you want to give any shout outs to anybody, kind of publicly put it on the record for people who you just want to be like, you know, thank you for being a part of my run?
Mainly shout outs to 3 people, which are Alva, who made sure I was fed and kept me hydrated and reminded me that I needed to breathe everywhere. And Ice Vane, who paid for me to get there, since Alva was turning 30 during the first day of Worlds. So we weren't even planning on coming until he paid for a trip. And also our local gaming guy who got me into X-Wing, Johan Besenius, who, sadly enough, he doesn't travel that much for tournaments, but he's one of the better players I know, and he's the guy who I keep throwing my list against and sees what sticks.
That's awesome. You got that's your secret tech. You're like, well, he's stuck over here in Sweden. You all don't get to practice, see the secret stuff that we come up with.
Yeah, he's my secret blacksmith who keeps hammering away on those lightning bolts.
That's right. That's awesome, man. Marcel, Will, Ryan, do you guys have anything else for Niklas before we let him take a nap before his day gets started here?
Yeah, just other than the final, was there another like really big, like exciting moment in either the top cut or Swiss that will stick with you?
Probably my game against the Andrew Knuckles, where there was this instance where his Defender Vader didn't do a free maneuver, which really surprised me. But during that time, it ate 6 damage from 2 ships. So I managed to kill his Vader Defender after he was ahead and turn the game around. So that's going to stick with me. But that was just dice being fickle against him. since he couldn't kill a Scorch with 1 health on range 1 with Vader Defender.
Sometimes this is not meant to be.
Yeah, dice gonna dice. So that was just one of those where he rolled 4 dice, blanked out, re-rolled them all, and then had to spend force to get 2 hits or something like that, and scored just natties out. Also, my top 8 game against Nathan Idy, because we had, it seemed like a practiced opening for him, and I just flew straight into his Republic list, and he hard turns with his contrail and starts dropping seismic charges. And the moment he places the first seismic charge, I look at it and say, I don't think that's in on anything. And he misses all the obstacles with like 1 or 2 millimeters. And he just looks at them and seems kind of surprised. And then after the game, he borrows my range rulers and he measures the mat. And the mat is 1 base or half a base longer than 3 range 9. So he had practiced openings with all the bomb dropping, but since the mat was short and longer, he couldn't drop the bomb where he wanted. So it messed up all the openings, and all my ships just survived not taking any bombs.
Wow.
It's good to have that level of practice, but also that's an instance where if you're too autopiloted into it, sometimes some minor differences can occur.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, he's one of the things he's really well known for is that precision, is measuring everything to a T. See 2022 Adepticon, right? Like that is...
No, don't see it, burn it, delete it.
It might involve somebody on the cast. He doesn't want to talk about it, but yeah, and yeah, well, that variation of the mats, like that's just part of the game, right? You gotta do that. So I'm assuming it seems like that ship ended up getting measured from the edge rather than kind of from the outside.
I don't know how he measured out that setup, but I did notice that it felt practiced, especially that they just didn't hit any of them, and it was so close to all of them, which was the surprising bit.
I bet.
But all the one thing during that match was a testament to how high adrenaline there was in all the games during the Top Cut. Was we both made a roll. Both exclaim very disappointedly, "Oh, I guess I'm first player," and we both pick up our road dice, and then we look at each other and say, "But I'm first player," and ask each other, "What did you roll?" Look at the dice, and none of us can remember who was first player or what we got.
Nice.
So we just look at the judge and ask if we should roll again, and yeah, had to re-roll, and then we
Nobody
made
knows.
a very meticulous point about what we rolled from that point on.
That is hilarious.
Did you have, so I think Marcel, I don't know if he actually followed through with this on his 6FO list, but he was highly considering his own little reminder for Gaelic trigger. Did you have a reminder for the Gaelic of, when a friendly ship dies, you can coordinate, or did you not miss any Gaelics and didn't need a reminder?
Oh no, I would have needed that all weekend long. Gaelic probably triggered maybe twice a game, but it was so surprising that usually the times where Gaelic could trigger, I didn't really have anything that I wanted it to trigger it, because you don't really have that many actions that you want to do, and with the TIE fighters, and they're the ones flying together. Backdraft's usually on the center of the board and flying away, so you don't really want to barrel roll or anything. Everyone already has a focus. If anything, Ember might want to take a boost, but Ember's on the other side of the map playing Lone Wolf and tag with everyone else. So usually what happened was just I took a barrel just for positioning, but there was nothing happening with Gaelic that was super game changing.
Oh, not even a target lock. That seems like a good thing that you can give your ships that don't normally can take that action because they prefer focus because you have advanced optics and need it for defense.
Yeah, I did take turret lock sometimes, but usually it was better for me to just take a barrel out. So either I took less shots or I could just one hard in next turn. But I couldn't coordinate Scorch since he was always stressed. I couldn't coordinate Malorus. He was usually stressed from his ability. So the only targets I had was DT, more or less. And if DT was alive, then DT didn't really need that much mods. So usually it was just a stray lock or a barrel out, so I could do the one hard in. But yeah, Gaelic got forgotten constantly.
Awesome. So before we let you go, just want to say one more time, Niklas, congratulations for winning the World Championship. Obviously, now that you won it, I mean, if people weren't already paying attention to how you're doing in major events, you know now for sure people are going to be. You got a target on your back now, right? You got a target on your back now. So watch out. In the tournaments, people are going to be hunting for you, but I have confidence that you're going to keep performing at a high level, and I look forward to seeing how you do in the upcoming season. We got a little bit of a break, and then back to it in May, I think is what AMG said, right?
I'll keep trying to keep it interesting.
All right. Love it, my friend. Well, to exit the session, all you got to do is click the X window, but thank you so much for your time, my friend.
Take care, guys. Thanks for the show.
He's a cool guy. Like, I remember the first time I met Niklas at Worlds, I was like, I want to be your friend, was like how I felt. I don't know, you ever meet somebody like that? You're like, that person, I think I want to be your friend.
I judge a lot of people. No offense to anybody, but I judge you on your list. And yeah, when you see something like that, when Kimojila, well, yeah.
There you go. Respect.
These are the cool ships. Respect. Hawks and Kimojilas. This guy's cool. Speaking of cool, though, what's cooler than some brand new information?
What? Oh, he's teed it up. Let's go.
That was a really slow segue. I was like, what?
All right.
I didn't get it. I didn't hear any ice cold.
All right, so let's go ahead and we'll reposition this a little bit. But yes, at adepticon, we did talk about this a little bit live on stream. By the way, as we're getting set up here, if you didn't catch the live recordings of the World Championships, you got a couple of options. If you want a go at your own pace and watch whatever you feel like at first, go to our Twitch channel. All right, go to our Twitch channel. The entire archive is open. You don't have to have a sub or anything like that. It'll be open up until when we release all of the YouTube footage. Or you can watch game by game on YouTube. Right now, we're releasing 2 games a day, and we're starting all the way at the beginning of the LCQ. If you want to have that nice, easy, slow drip, watch a game or 2 a day, you have that option as well. So you can go full smorgasbord or little by little. But everything has been edited, uploaded, it's scheduled, and it's just going to start popping up in your feeds. I think as of right now, all 5 games of the LCQ are up, which means tomorrow, which starts with, or not tomorrow because they don't come out on Tuesdays because we have the podcast on Tuesdays, but then it means a Wednesday, you'll have round 1, 2, and it goes all the way 10 rounds of Swiss. And then, of course, when it gets to the top cut, I spread it out just a little bit. Top 8, another day, top 4, and then the final has to have its own day of release. It has to. It's a must. But here at Adepticon. AMG had a panel. Shout out to our streaming friends, the Professional Casual Network, because their event was over. They were brought in by AMG to go ahead and have a camera on their slideshow, and we're going to talk about the X-Wing presentation. We're going to go slide by slide, speculate, talk about what we knew already, what we didn't know, and we're starting right here. Ryan, what do we see on slide 1?
We see another laid out image of what we've already been made aware of prior to Adepticon, which was the starter packs for each faction, starting with the Rebels and Galactic Empire. This slide pertains to the Rebel Alliance. So we see the pack again. We see, I think, a couple things that didn't necessarily get shown, which is the damage deck is similar to, or at least it looks like it might be, because I think we might have seen a shot of another damage deck where the images of the ship on the card is going to actually be the same as a ship from that faction. So kind of like those special damage decks we would get in the past, but these might be the smaller ones, I think, looking like if it's meant to be kind of same size as the other cards there. We'll see. Couple other things to note is there is a Y-Wing in the pack, but noting specifically that there are proton bombs and proximity mines in here. So there's a chance that one or both of those upgrades will be on the SL, the standard loadout versions of Y-Wing pilots in this pack as well. Since you would have to be required to have those bombs available to the ship with the standard loadout in this pack. We also see, can't really make out the wording, but we know by the art and the chassis that there is going to be a Shara Bay A-Wing standard loadout in there as well. And then I can't read the name. What X-Wing that's got to be Luke, but that's a different art for Luke, I think.
That doesn't look like Luke.
It is. No, I'm pretty sure that says Luke Skywalker.
What is it?
I hope they have another X-Wing with 2 Force, but
another X-Wing with 2 Force, I-5, kind of.
That sounds awesome.
It definitely looks like a Luke Skywalker. The closer you zoom in, yeah.
They're leaning into, they're leaning into, different art as well as. So is the Luke Skywalker that we have already also Red 5? Because I'm pretty sure that.
Yep.
Subtitle is Red 5. So this is just like an alternate art standard shape
Seems
card.
to be.
Pretty
I guess
neat.
there's no guarantee he has the exact same ability, but I guess to be weird if they had a different ability but were both Red 5 and didn't have like the Battle of Yavin or the Battle of whatever. Since they're the same, I'm guessing it's going to be the same. It's just interesting to see we are getting some different art possibilities on these ships.
Yeah, exactly. And with some of the liberties they've taken with the subtitle, I mean, they could have. If it is, I honestly think if it's Red 5 on the other one, I don't have it up here, but I would assume it's going to be the same exact ability because they've done different things outside of just like names. You could have been like Luke Skywalker entering the trench. They've made it not the subtitles not only be names but also moments. So I think that's a cool pivot that AMG has done to be willing to do that, but also it gives you lots of options. You can really open up design space with that subtitle. But yeah, so we know we're getting a Rebel pack, which is awesome. One of the things I wanted to point out was this right here. All right. Pretty sure this is a turn counter, right? Like it's an officially released turn counter. It's something that with the original release, I think they had given like a square type of template that you like put tokens on. But let's be real, I've never seen a single person use those. A dial is significantly easier to keep track of like that. And a lot of people had that same idea of. There were some third-party ones that had that Death Star radar tracking. I don't even know what is that it's called exactly, but the Death Star style countdown, which is awesome. So there you go, coming soon. Let's go on to the next slide, which I know a lot of people were hyped to see. Will, take it.
All right, this is the YT-2400. Dash Rendar making his black box return. Looks like there's a new paint job and even an updated sculpt for him. Plus, we have shown here a Scum version, a Scum standard loadout that he can take in addition to his Rebel customizable, even previews a Lebo standardized card. And before we get into it, I think that this is what excites me about standard loadout. I didn't like them at first, I'll admit to that. But I understand that it is so much easier to release a standard loadout card into the card pool than it is a customizable card. Because a Scum Dash would have to factor in every crew, every illicit, every Scum only upgrade that ever would come out for the future. With the standardized loadout, drop it in, have fun with it. But the update, though, to his Rebel is significant. I think we got to start with the 3 attack dice. Decrease from his current, what is he at, 10 points? I believe he's currently the most expensive ship in the game right now at 10 points with that 4 attack dice. And currently can shoot, he currently ignores obstacles while moving through them. Now has been updated to ignore obstacles while engaging on top of them. So it seems like there would be a lot bigger risk reward for it. Still has that sensor blind spot while you perform a primary attack at range 0 to 1, including that range 0 in there now. You roll 1 fewer attack dice. So it's going basically stays at 3 because you don't get your range 1 attack bonus. It doesn't say this. It doesn't say instead of gaining 1, you lose 1. So essentially doesn't get 4 dice at a range 1. Also, though, now this is the biggest
It's
penalty.
brutal, man. Brutal.
Absolutely brutal. While you defend at range 1, you roll 1 fewer defense dice. Now, that is going to put Dash Rendar at a big disadvantage against any I6 or I5 with a boost, or a very fast dial to close that gap after Dash is moved and get into that sensor blind spot. We still has that red barrel roll, the focus lock and the rotate actions. Same 2 agility, 6 health, and 4 shields. Though, now Dion, been talking about his reduced attack power.
Mhm.
I want to take a look at the standardized Outrider on that Scum card. So I have a guess, we'll say, that is the same ability. Why make a new one? Why make a new one for a single standardized card? So I think we could just assume that this is what the regular title says as well. While you perform a primary attack at range 3, roll 1 additional attack dice. While you perform an attack that is obstructed by an obstacle, you may change one of the defender's evade results to a eyeball result.
Built-in juke.
So juke and with trick shot can still get up to a 5 dice attack. And it is assuming that's the same. Well, that's TBD, but right now, does the, I'm looking at your screen, does the standard have trick shot? No. So
No, mercenary.
no, it has Lebo, who can repair your cards. Got Seeker missiles, a missile that is not a customized card. Spend one of the 4 charges is an attack lock. Spend one of your 4 charges. Then during the modified dice step, you can spend 2 additional charges to change an eyeball result to a hit. So great, easy way to double modify your range 2 and 3 attacks. Out your front arc, really great if you're going left to right with that bow tie. The mercenary upgrade for his talent says after another friendly ship of range 0 to 2 is destroyed, before it is removed from the play area, transfer one of its green tokens to yourself. So a little bit of Kato Lichos' ability mixed with Cutthroat. Then that's a hilarious upgrade. Just hoping that your friend with a focus perishes in front of you, so you can take it for yourself.
Like I'd really like to have a fully modified shot here. So if you want to kick the bucket, I'd be all right with it.
Yeah. So that's very interesting. Does it have any other abilities on there? Just the blind spot and
I think
his
the scum
ability.
pilot is his actual pilot ability the same as the rebel one?
I don't think it is.
No, it
No.
is different. It's
No.
about stress. That's right.
So if we recall, the original Outrider did deal with this, where when you move through obstacles, you got to remove a red or orange token. So that was taken out potentially of the Outrider itself and put into the scum pilot here.
Kinda, because in this case you transfer it. You just don't eliminate it. It says after you gain a red token as a result of moving through or overlapping an obstacle, you may transfer that red token to a friendly ship at range 0 to 1.
Yeah, so that's
Could you
strain
imagine?
and stress.
Could you imagine the shenanigans? Okay.
And Ion, sorry.
Oh, it's true, you could pass
So
an
here it
ion.
is, right? Imagine if you got an ion token, right? You're a big base, you can handle 1. But what if you dial in a move that you don't want to go fast for now on a friendly ship, and you're like, I feel like ioning my friendly ship instead, and they could do a 1 straight or a 1 bank.
Yeah.
Cheeky.
So, like, actually,
a little bit of. I mean,
actually, we'll
there's
give
probably-
that ion to Finn Rao. Let's slow down that 2
Yeah.
bank a little bit to a 1 bank. Yeah, could be. I mean, you can't guess on that or bet on it, but it'll still work.
Is there any way to force yourself to take ion tokens?
Not as a result of an obstacle, though.
Not as a result.
It has to be through the as a result of moving through or overlapping an obstacle.
Got
I
it.
thought
So
Dooku
it's
Crew for a sec, but Dooku Crew only affects the modified dice step now.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
not
they
even.
changed it up. All right, cool.
I'm
We're
proud
safe.
of- yeah.
We're safe mostly.
We are. for now, we're safe till those 5 dice range 3 shots come in.
No,
So I do want to ask you guys, going back to the rebel ability for a second here. There's Lebo, which we can't see any of it, so it's not
at
a
the
lot
end
worth
of
covering.
something, acquire something.
Yeah, and after you perform a calculate, I assume get another calculate, because that's how they can make it on par with.
I don't know. What if
regular
it's after you
people.
perform a calculate, you may perform a lock?
Jeez, sign me up. But the regular dash ability, though, being able to ignore obstacles that you are overlapping. Now, during the engagement phase, it no longer ignores cargo that's dropped or the spare parts canisters, because
Yep.
you can always shoot on those, right? Now, 2 things though. You ignoring the effects of the obstacle would prevent, just like Kira, just like landing struts, you could shoot through it without them getting the obstruction bonus, correct? That's literally the wording on struts.
Yes. Yep.
Okay. So with that, before we get not just like theorizing lists, but just obstacles, we're used to dash flying through debris because you could shoot off of those. But now I feel like his preferred obstacle is the gas cloud. Almost no penalty because the obstruction you would get for the shot cancels out the single strain. What is your guys' thoughts on that? Are you trying to fly dash on top of obstacles now, though?
I mean, if it protects myself from getting range 1, yeah, actually.
Okay, so you're thinking of using it as a buffer, like when I
Yeah,
said like.
whether I overlap it or not, I'll use it as I would need to. But I'm
Okay.
using obstacles with dash to keep people out of my sensory blind spots.
Yeah,
Sure, to give them something that they can't boost through.
yeah, and I mean, gas clouds, obviously. But you do want to get all the way through. I don't think you want to purposely land on them. I think you probably get more confident with your, like, pull this fit or not. But, I mean, you still want to complete the maneuver so you can get your action.
Sure. I mean,
yeah,
there's like
that's the
force,
thing,
there's K2SO, like you could find modifiers.
If you land on any obstacle right now in the game, you skip your perform action step. So even though you've overlapped and you can still shoot on it with dash, you're not getting any actions unless, like you said, outside effects, or for modifiers you put a force crew or force gunner on it with the custom versions.
Yeah, I mean, and if it happens to be a rock, you're risking 2 of your 10 hull.
Now,
If
you
it's
can
the
still,
Bree, so getting
you
that
get-
guaranteed stress.
if you get blocked into it, can you still, because it's not your action step, can you still focus stress, or
It's
is
not
that-
part of your perform action stuff. You certainly can. So if there's a vulture on an asteroid, yeah, crash right into it. You're going to take the asteroid damage, but
Right.
you know.
And that's I think the important part that we got to think about is one of the things that made dash so desirable is people chucking 5-6 dice attacks while being able to essentially mostly ignore obstacles when it came to the activation step, right? And really what you were looking for when dash was legal was to not end your turn on an asteroid. That's essentially what dash players were looking for. Now you really gotta make some choices. This is I feel like the difficulty level for setting up the most optimized dash shot has gone up a bit. Now, here's a question. Do you remember, I was looking through my notes, I didn't see anything that refuted this. Are they going to be coming out with a customized version for Scum? A customizable version for
No.
Scum? They said
Did they say? I have that as a
No.
big I don't know.
No, they said only through the standard loadout.
only through the standard. That's a very safe way to do it.
Which, yeah, I mean, that's what I was saying. That, like, yeah, I mean, he's too many variables to just throw a single pilot into a faction that has, let's be honest, Kira crew. So
Right.
if you don't know Kira crew, you could just ignore an obstacle completely,
Yep.
which would be, I mean, just, chef's kiss, put them right together.
I
And which
definitely do like these. I mean, the Scum version, this SL Dash, I think it looks good. Curious on the point cost, but the loadout, what's there between Mercenary, the Seeker missiles for more coverage, Libo to help with those damage cards, the Outrider title ability, his ability being, to me, the Scum version a little more desirable than the Rebel version.
And what do you guys think? I mean, my assumption is at least 7. Like 7's the number they're shooting for here. I mean,
you were talking about points?
Yeah, for points wise, comparing it to a 6-point Rebel Falcon, 6-point Rebel Falcon, while very good.
Rebels have their own issues of point costs right now, but yeah.
Oh, sorry, I meant Scum Falcon. Scum Falcon is the 6-point one, but it's only got 1 agility. It's got a lot less health. Actually, technically, it only has 1 more health than this one, and I feel like this has got to be better than waiting for Han to find an obstructed shot on a stress target.
Yep. So how quickly does this become the Boba Kanan plus Dash?
For the 7 points, you think
Well,
it'll be 7, right?
I mean, I think 7's the number they're shooting for.
8
This
seems
doesn't
too
feel
high.
like an 8-point ship. This
Because it's
like
Dengar
8,
7.
8 is Django. right?
Yeah, 8's Django. 7's like, Dengar, Rook, Bosk.
Ashka.
Like good ship. Any fire, most fire sprays like a good solid ship, but not extraordinary.
Boba, Kanan, Dash. Ow,
Dash.
it hurts just thinking about it.
Good luck.
I mean, Kanan's got to keep up with Dash, though. I mean, granted, Dash isn't boosting; he's barrel rolling if he wants. But I think Dash was probably gonna have a very weird flight pattern for Kanan to help follow Boba and Dash. But also, I just hope
Dash
by the
goes
time
front to back, I guess.
I just hope by the time this ship comes out, Kanan's like yeeted to the stratosphere in some capacity.
There'll be an even better ship by then.
That's very true. There's always something else around the corner. And when it comes to a customized version of this Dash, or even in any faction they'd want to throw them in that might make sense, is we know that Hot Shots and Aces 2 exist. There's no reason for them to just continue Hot Shots and Aces 3, 4, 5, 6. If another version of Dash or any pilot for this ship were to come up, that'd be a way to do it. One of the questions is, I know, we know that Dash and Lebo are in here, but if I'm not mistaken, was it in Star Wars Rebels where we saw a YT-2400? It was Iron Squadron?
Iron Squadron.
Yeah,
Yep.
they were out of Lethal, I believe.
Yeah, so
I could see that being a standardized loadout for Rebels, like I'm blanking on the character name, but he was the son of the Phoenix Cell, Admiral leader guy. And there was like a droid, like 2 other kids. Like, yeah, you have like the gunner kid. I mean, that's what I'm really hoping for in the future. Whenever like there's maybe a ghost BCX SL card, like you just get the cast of characters as upgrades and what they do.
love it. All right, let's keep the party going here. Marcel, here you go.
All right. So this is for the starter pack, correct? Or no, it's actually a bomber.
This is the separate release of the standalone release of the
Dual
TIE
pack.
SA Bomber.
Comes with 2, I see. All right. So the TIE SA Bomber, just at the front there, we read Tomax Brex. It's been such a long time. I don't know if it has the same ability, but it says Initiative 5. It still has to attack, to evade, 6 hull, and 2 charges. The charges are after you perform a barrel roll action, you may spend 2 charges. Oh, it's recurring. You recur 1. You may spend 2 charges, and if you do, you gain a focus token. And they don't have. Are they linked? They're not linked, right? Oh yeah, linked to barrel roll.
Yeah.
So basically, barrel roll,
all
focus
the
link.
actions.
Whoa, barrel roll, focus, target lock, every other turn. And then it has Nimble Bomber. If you would drop a device using a 1 template straight, you may use a bank template of the same speed. Actually, not using a 1, using a template. So if you have Bombardier, you can also do like the 2 back and the
Exactly.
2 banks. And you choose, so you choose either or. First of all, that's a crazy ability for an I-5 pilot that can target lock focus every turn.
What is
and
he
he
shooting,
is
though?
chugging the plasma torpedo.
I-5 double mounted plasmas. Let's go.
That's pretty good. And then he also has the True Grit, which is a new, I believe new, talent. At the end of the activation phase, if you are not strained, you may gain 1 strain token to remove 1 non-lock red or orange token. So what that means is that you can move, barrel roll, focus, target lock, and then at the end of activation phase, remove that stress token.
To gain a strain, right?
Then K
Gain a
turn.
strain. Yeah,
K
I
turn
mean,
with keeping that lock.
yeah, K turn, keeping that lock maybe, or K turn, that's your charge off, and then you come back.
I mean,
and you
become a
get your
1
charge back
agility
on.
ship to turn your whole dial blue.
Yeah, it's
Seems
crazy.
pretty good.
That is crazy, and that's every turn, right?
True grit is every turn, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't be strained. So if you do
Yeah. You
say
have to
that
clear it
a
at some
turn, you're going to
point.
be strained and you couldn't do it the turn afterwards. Example.
Sure. But yeah, no, that's crazy. And then it also has ion bombs, regular ion bombs that it can throw in 3 different places.
I mean, I feel like so. Here's the question: is the way that the ability is set up? You're choosing whether or not you're going to use his ability to do the ion, like a sick ion bomb placement, or an objective placement or something like that. Because you have to either spend them off of the. Oh no, it's recurring on his card. Never mind, I read that incorrect. Cancel.
Yeah. Yeah, now, you do have to spend bolt charges, so you
Yeah, it's
get
every
it,
other turn.
Say, we'll assume turn 2, because you're coming in to shoot that torpedo. So you're not going to be able to shoot it until turn 4 after that.
That seems
It'd
really
still be
good.
pretty valuable in assault, where you want to barrel roll into a zone for assault while still getting a token. Too.
Mm-hmm.
No, defensively, yeah, if you happen to be flying away.
Well, you get that anyway, right? When you. Oh no, that's every other turn. Yeah.
Yep.
Every other turn.
Yep. So even though it's just plasma torps, which I know can do some still good damage to shielded targets, and being fully modded I5 is a good deal. But I see this as a 4-point ship.
Tomax is currently a 4-point ship, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't see that changing.
Or 3.
No, definitely not.
This isn't
Look,
no.
This isn't a torrent. This is a
Kickback
bomber.
3. Yeah, and
Well, 2 things. Kickback is 3. He shouldn't be. He should be
shouldn't
4.
Let's all
if he's
agree
4,
that
I
he
don't know if I
shouldn't
play
be.
him, but we'll see.
Yeah, but no. I mean, if you look at this, you look at the 4-point X1 at I5. So it's comparable.
Got a little sneak peek at Captain Jonas though up there.
That's
with
right.
Interestingly enough, he actually
New
only
talent.
has torpedoes, right? Or sorry, he only has missiles right now. He's not even allowed a plasma torpedo
On the customized version?
on the customized version.
What is this top cover thing?
After a friendly ship at range 0 to 1 defends, so not another, can be yourself. If you have not dropped or launched a device this round, you may launch a device using the 3 with either 3 banks or 3 straight template. So if you get shot at, you or a friend at 0 to 1 can launch, or you get to launch a bomb. Device. So here,
Device.
What devices there are so important.
Correct. As much as people are like, oh, can it be a mine? Can it be? I'm thinking.
I think
on
they
a
were
balance level. They keep it a bomb.
Yeah.
unless you want to just turn Jonas into the super catcher, and he gets to be like throwing counter nets.
Oh, Connor.
I would love
Get you.
I would love
shoot it, but
a
you're gonna get
blazer,
netted.
a blaze bomb or whatever it's called.
Oh, the
That would
blazer
be-
bomb?
That
Sure.
would be fun.
Well, I mean,
That wouldn't explode though until next.
No, it
turn.
wouldn't explode, but you'd be able to throw that little obstacle there at a weird spot.
well,
If it's a mine, this is a big deal. If it's not a mine, it's less of a deal.
if they wanted Captain Jonas to be immediately played and tested, you make it a mine.
You want this Captain Jonas to be worth more than 4 points? It's a mine.
Yeah, exactly. So,
Possibly. I mean,
I think we
could
could
have a terrible gun, and
mean,
its
if it-
only trick is just to throw that bomb out, which is still potentially really dangerous.
I mean, if it only has, because that's a pretty big wall of text. If it has just like proton bomb and a proxy mine, game on for that.
He might have a special ability that says after you launch a bomb or something, it just detonates immediately instead of waiting for it to detonate at the normal time period.
ooh, that
knows?
would be spicy.
He does have a single line ability as well, so maybe.
What's his regular? Is he the one that helps
He's
others
rerolls.
reroll, right?
He gets the
Yeah.
reroll stuff, so this is very different potentially.
Captain Jonas picked up some new tricks. So
No charge based for his own ship. So yeah.
So it just does a thing. And just something interesting to note here. Obviously, it's a double bomber pack. As players who've been playing this game for a long time, I think we all own TIE bombers, most likely. But there's new content in this box. Right? Like I talked about business-wise, AMG has to do re-releases because people who haven't been playing the game as long as we have need to get the stuff, but they have to make it in a way where there's something in there that we don't have. So congratulations, AMG. You at least have one sale from me because I need these cards because I have no other way to get them.
I already have like 4 bombers.
Yeah, exactly. Same.
I want those SLs probably.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
they did the right job. Like they're getting me to want that. Who knows? Maybe there are more SLs in the Imperial pack that also has a bomber in it too.
It's true.
So now I'll have 7 bombers.
That's so all the bombers.
Way too many.
All right, so next slide coming in here. Super excited to see the X-Wing Store Championship kit. They said that stores are going to be able to order this kit starting May the 4th, I think was what they announced. So super excited to see that. Some highlights from what we can see here. It comes in a fancy box, which is very nice. I like to see that. You got a Starhawk in the background. You got Keo in that A-Wing. The winner gets an invite for the X-Wing World Championships, which is great. So basically one per store that can get the kit. Ask your store to pick up a kit. Go to a game store that you know doesn't have X-Wing. Be like, hey, can you buy this kit, please? So that you can...
Yeah, seriously, everyone just like go to your LGS and tell them about this kit so that you guys can... More X-Wing, more store champs, more people to worlds guaranteed. And this was confirmed at the panel. This is not like, oh, you get an invite to the last chance qualifier to maybe get a chance to go. This is confirmed into the world's main event.
That's right. There's going to be regionals that happen that have a invite that include, they called it a premium invite that has something to do with maybe you get like a first round buy or something like that, which is fine, but not these. This is just but being able to get an invite is huge because they needed to create more opportunities for it. They got a bunch of different alt art cards. Just kind of looking here at, from the art we know, it looks like a full art Chewbacca, Keo Venzi, which is that Sivor? Probably. It's one word.
Oh, Lapin. These are all pilots from Hot Shots and Aces 2.
Got it.
Gaelic, Lapin, Poe Falcon, Keo, Second Sister, Vanessa Doza. Don't know what the upgrades are though in the stacks. They have new art.
New art there. The word would be here. Not sure what they are, but it's an awesome art with a T-70 X-Wing shooting at a TIE fighter. And this looks like a...
Arc 170.
Yes, an Arc 170 at Geonosis.
Maybe veteran tail gunner, because it's like looks like the back of it.
It does, you're right.
The gunner.
It is a gunner
maybe?
symbol. Yep.
Oh no, you know what? Wait, we got the leak on this before. That's suppressive gunner.
Suppressive gunner. There
and
it is.
And the other one's outmaneuver.
Okay. Somebody says, does these kits have invites not limit the number there will be to have? What?
What?
So it's saying that
Like, are they
there may
limiting?
only be 300 of these printed, which means that there'd only be 300 invites being handed out.
That's a lot. Like, that's a lot. That's way more than the amount of people were in the main event.
Well, I mean, they'll have to put their money where their mouth is, right? As many kits as they buy, they need to have that set up.
Space,
I'm sure
yeah.
Adepticon would be happy to sell them more space. Okay, so we'll
Well,
figure it
I
out.
mean, assuming that we do this instead of a last chance qualifier, there could just be more days of Swiss or 2 heats. if
That's
you
very
will.
true. That could be another way to go about it. Now, the other part that I wanna point out here is this cardboard right here at the top. So we had been talking about different theories of how AMG could get objective tokens and scenario-based official pieces in people's hands. Here it is. It's very obvious what it is. You got 5 shapes that are those scenario tokens. You got 3 player tokens is what those are on the other side there. I'm assuming we have blue on one side, red on the other. There's the range 1.5 ruler on the bottom. And there's a bonus token in the middle that I'm not sure what that would be used for. You guys have any guess? This like green-ish.
Are we sure that whole thing isn't a new scenario?
I was gonna say,
It
I don't
could
think
be.
any of our current objectives are escape crafts.
It could be. I mean, there would be a great opportunity to release a new scenario in our set, but they're being consistent with the pieces, which is great.
Yes,
Yeah,
you
that'd
could
be-
use those objectives for anything else. It's just whatever the picture's on there. But they could theme it around the new scenario they show up with the store kit.
It'd be pretty cool, insane if part of the tournament was that only the final round or the final must be played in like this new scenario.
Has to be
Add it to the whole rotation. Add to the whole rotation.
I assume, it'll
Why
be
would you
added
hold
to
it
the
back, right?
rotation.
You want to let more people play that scenario.
I mean, there could be a format
Well-
that could be a single scenario throughout the day of your choosing. If you didn't want to, say, play all the scenarios. I just have heard of tournaments that are like, we're playing extended, no ban, chance only, right? Like just to get those people who are, we'll say,
On the
reluctant.
fringes?
Yeah, they're like, I want to play my. The thing is, I love playing or used to like playing, right?
Sure.
So that could ease them into this. But I mean, what other way of announcing a new scenario, drawing up hype for the game, is this kind of store kit? I'm sure they'll have information about it, the scenario, so we could start practicing formulating strategies. But yeah, I mean, it's got to be something. Chasing down escape crafts. I don't know. Do you think they fly around?
It is a ship.
from
Why
going in
wouldn't
the
it? It
mall?
could.
Do you think that little black thing is a mall that you got to keep them out of? Maybe they're drifting towards it. You got to go save as many people as you can.
Huh. I'm
Could be.
Could be.
anything.
Yeah.
It's very exciting.
It'll be fun. I'm excited to see what they end up coming up with for these for the store championship. I know, like, store championship season. Outside of Worlds, I think store championship season is my favorite season because it's the time where we get to I feel like as a squad, as like local players, you get to see each other the most because you're grinding. It's like every other weekend when that season comes up, you're hanging out, you're getting to play some games, and like I know I by the rules that I go by is if I'm going to a store championship, if I'm not in the running to win it anymore, I gotta leave, but at least I got a chance. I can show up, hang out with people, and have a good time. But I'm excited to see store championships roll around. It is something that I've been ringing the bell. You gotta have store championships. You gotta have them now in order to revitalize the game and bring some excitement. And hot dog, here we go. Now, speaking of more excitement here, Ryan, what is this tasty treat?
We have an organized play kit, more of like an event style kit called the Children of Mandalore. Not as much designed on the competitive level, but a kit designed with a specific scenario or event play in mind for more on the casual end. There is clearly a set of multiple objective or scenario-based tokens on the cardboard of varying types. It's like some type of space station, some Beskar armor, steel or whatever, some scrap metal or whatnot, and like a shuttle with some bunch of stats and rules and at least one alt art card there. Probably clan training would be my guess if it's got Sabine with the Darksaber and it's all Mandalore based. and then some other type of card or back of a card in the stack just to the left of it. So
Looks like a condition card.
if you just want to get some, you want to get organize an event, not make it competitive, and still earn some likely participation level stuff, and have a good time playing a scenario designed with children based on Mandalorian theming with some casual friends or locals. This is it.
Love it. Love it. Yeah, super excited to see what comes of this. I mean, leaning into Mandalorian culture is a good business idea. People are hyped by the Mandalorians. They're awesome. All right, Will, battle over Endor.
All right, we have another of these scenario packs similar to what we had saw with the Battle of Yavin, the Siege of Coruscant, Battle of Endor. Emphasizes the spaceship fight outside of the second Death Star in Return of the Jedi. I believe focusing on the combat revolving around the Super Star Destroyer, and should have new pilots for both the Rebels and the Empire. These are going to be the standard loadout cards, as we've seen with those other scenario packs.
Yeah, so let's take a second and just make sure we understand the difference. So the organized play kit is similar to like the droids you're looking for type of box. The scenario pack is Battle of Yavin, the Siege of Coruscant. That's that. So this is new pilots and a casual scenario, but really for most competitive players, you're grabbing it for the new pilots and things that are coming in there. But yeah, I'm excited to see that. And of course, they're releasing this. They're trying to get it out on time to align with the 40th anniversary of the Return of the Jedi. So that's oh man, super exciting to see that. Now here was the pilot they showed. Will?
This was the Wedge Antilles battle over Endor. He's got a similar stat line, except for he's got a shield upgrade. Has the ability, after you perform an attack, gain a focus token. His droid even allows him to, after you once a game, to when you acquire a lock, or sorry, when you perform an action, you may spend one charge to acquire a lock. So focus lock, dropping advanced proton torpedoes, 5 dice in range 1. Got Predator for rerolls 2, which is offensive heavy. Love to see it. Has It's a Trap while defending. If there are more other friendly ships than enemy ships at range 0 to 1, so if you're flying in formation, you can reroll one of your blank results. So if you got a wingman and you're not in a scrum, you can reroll your defensive things. But really, Dion, this is what interests me. They fixed the standardized S-foils. So previously they would have attack, run, which was fine because their X-wings are locked in attack position. They were never going to close them. So in this, though, Wedge still has the ability to boost as an action. It's actually on his action bar. But because his S-foils are locked now, he would gain a deplete token for boosting. Now, so it equates to almost the exact same thing, except for if you want to try to focus droid into a lock and then boost into for advanced proton torpedoes, that deplete token will still take you down to 4 attack dice.
I mean, it's still 4 attack dice, but
you still took 3 actions and got into range 1 to blast something. So yeah, it's still pretty good. I just really like that detail because That's one of the problems with standardized cards is that you can't flip anything. You can't have any changing of cards like an X foils configuration. So that's beautifully fixed, keeps it pretty much the same. But now, because they can now assume, Dion, that you have a deplete and a strain through those new core sets, they can start putting more of those deplete and strain abilities right onto the cards.
I'll be honest. I understand the how the cards that flip work, but sometimes I have always had trouble remembering to flip those type of cards. I prefer abilities that don't deal with like, oh, you forgot to flip a card. I guess I messed up the game.
Oh, sure. Yeah, exactly. It's the remembering. It was, well, it was a choice before of like, well, am I going to want to boost? So it is a little bit easier now. You always have that boost open. And I did want to mention something I actually just now noticed. Thanks, first time caller. This has a barrel into red focus as well.
Oh,
So
spicy.
not only can you get 3 actions, focus, lock, boost with your droid, you can also barrel lock red focus to blast that advanced proton torpedo as well. This will be one heck
So
of a
our
ship.
R2A3 is acquire, so you could even acquire the lock after the boost reposition.
Oh, yeah, if you needed to catch range.
Yep.
That's true.
But also, to specifically make sure we get this correct, Wedge needs to hit on his attack to have his ability work.
Oh, his regular to get that
Yes,
defensive
he doesn't gain the focus if
focus.
he doesn't hit. It's not just attack and you gain a focus. You do need to actually hit.
I mean, they gave you
now-
enough tools to do it. If you don't hit, that's your own fault. Like, roll better.
Well,
Come on.
it's not Wedge that gets the lesson agility, right? You could
Right,
still
exactly.
get 3, and so could your opponent.
So yeah, that makes me transitions into a guesstimate for his price. I mean, without that reduction, the natural kind of outmaneuver-esque ability, there's no way that this can be the 6-point Wedge we're used to.
No.
Especially without Pro Torps be able to take, it's
Yeah.
only advanced Proton Torps. So granted, you do have more reposition linking. You do have the one time a game where you get to do an acquire lock. You do have Predator. You do have a okay ability for a little extra defense, and you have an extra shield. But I could see them
You're
putting
still
him at
I6.
6, but
Yeah.
I could see them putting him at 6 points. But I think he should be 5.
If I'm not mistaken, the I-5 Battle of Yavin is only 5 points.
Yep.
And now one
It has
does
a full
have
Pro
a
Torp.
proton.
Yep.
Yeah. And a pseudo ability. An ability with a little bit more conditions than you're attacking.
But still has the reduction agility type effect, only on primary.
Yeah, I think it's primary and you gotta have friendlies somewhere. You gotta have like a friendly in front of you.
It's going to be the question of how do they value that initiative 6, right? So
I mean, I'm still paying 5 points for this. Like those reposition linked actions, the Predator, the offensive mods he gets, the extra defensive rerolls and tokens. Like this could be a pretty cool cat up there.
It's Baffle wondering if this becomes the cheapest I6 if it's 5. No, Sienna Ree is currently 5 points at I6.
there you go.
And there may be more than just that, but that's the first one that comes off the top of my head.
Marcel, take a look at Captain Yor.
All right, Captain Yor, I4 Defender. It looks like the standard, 3, 3, 3, 4. So 4 shields, 3 hull, 3 agility, and attack. With 2 charges that are not recurring. After you perform a primary attack that hits, you may spend a charge to perform a bonus cannon attack, which is basically their Delta D, Delta D, I think it's called. And
Defender Elite.
yeah, there you go. And then the cannon that is shooting, sorry, I got a monkey running on my back. After the cannon is an ion cannon, range 1 to 3, and then the chassis ability, after it's the same one. No, actually it's different. After you fully execute a speed 3 to 5 maneuver, you may perform a target lock action. While attacking, if you are not stressed, you may spend the shield. Is that a shield?
Yeah.
Shield, yep.
And spend the shield to apply the range 1 bonus. Sorry, cat. So basically, you're shooting 4 dice at range 2 or 3 twice a turn. Is that basically what it means?
If you're not stressed,
I mean,
yeah,
twice
it's
twice a turn, twice a game.
So you could do it twice in a turn at the cost of a shield each, and you could basically become Grand Inquisitor at the cost of a shield. So that you don't get it back, you don't get shields back on the ship.
Gotcha.
But
And then the
Still,
upgrade,
four attack dice primary at range 3 sounds pretty good.
or range 2. I mean, range 2,
sounds
you
great.
don't get the
Sounds
extra
great.
bonus.
If no one's shooting you,
And shoot twice. So there you go.
sounds good.
And there's nothing saying you can't use the ability twice in a row on both shots.
This is
4
true.
dice, 4 dice.
nope, just don't be stressed.
If you need it, yeah, fire away.
And then the upgrade, it says no escape. While you perform a primary attack, if there are more friendly ships than other enemy ships at range 0 to 1 of the defender, you may reroll one of your blank results.
I'm pretty sure
That's similar
it's
to the
a
wedge
trap.
ability.
Basically,
It-
if you have your friendly ships close to them.
Yeah, think of it like Moff Gideon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
Ruthless.
I'm pretty sure It's a Trap is going to be on every Rebel, and No Escape's going to be on every Imperial as like the scenario upgrade. And I think No Escape is a lot better.
Got it. And then you've got Predator, Ion Cannon, which are no different. And then you do have a new upgrade here. It says Computer Assisted Handling, 1 charge not recurring. After you fully execute a maneuver, you may spend a charge to perform a boost or barrel roll action.
Woo, spicy.
So basically, it's a charge of. It's a 1 charge afterburner that does barrel roll or boost.
And not restricted to speed either.
Just do it. Just do
It's
it.
got evade link barrel roll on the ship now, not just evade base.
It seems like this pack, they really
You
leaned
don't
into.
get the free evade though, right?
no.
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 That free evade is
You
gone.
get, you get lock. You just don't get focused evade.
This is a much angrier defender.
Right.
Very angry.
It's
Don't have time for defense. Just flank and shoot.
I wouldn't mind if defenders had all of them had this as.
I think
The
we can all
ability.
agree about full throttle free evades. Hard to design around, we'll say.
Yep. So they're like, how about we just get rid of it? So here is what I was gonna say is, it seems like the Battle of Endor, they're really leaning into like speed and power rather than defensiveness. Right, like they just really, really aggressive. This is like the final battle between the Empire and the Rebellion. Like it's pretty cool. I like the design space. And then the last slide that we got was AMG showing off the artwork to one of the Alpha class Star Wing configuration cards. So they're going to be re-releasing. They didn't say when, they didn't say what, they didn't give us any pilots, just this piece of art saying like, hey, essentially it's one of the next things in their queue for X-Wing is they're going to be working on the Alpha class. Now here's my question for you, my friends. I think they've released 4, are there 4 pilots currently in extended? 5? We have 2 generics and 3
It's
uniques.
Karsabi and Hatchet Man. Those are the 2
yes.
named pilots. Karsabi, I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. The one everybody flew.
Everybody knows that one.
Will's being facetious, if you guys can't tell, just in case. Just in case. There might be somebody.
We've flown a lot of Star Wings.
Yes, we have.
Yeah.
So here's the question.
Yeah.
Do we... I mean, how much of a redesign... All right, let me back this up. The Star Wing in 2.0 pre-scenarios was not something that people were playing. It was it had been priced out where it wasn't really good enough value for it to be played. With scenarios, without any changes to the pricing, the current pricing, do Star Wings like make it into the game at their current price as is, no changes?
Oh, let's pull up the SB because they are expensive. I believe they're 5 points each for that Karsabi and generics, and 6 points granted, 21. An impressive loadout.
Right.
For Major Vendor, who is technically a 3 agility ship most of the time, kind of.
Exactly.
But yeah, they need to. It's a delicate balance, though, with a lot of things. Is that they need to feel like a heavy, like weapons platform. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, though, you need to get a cheap one out on the board. To me, I think it would be interesting to see if they make any changes to those configurations. Right now we have Arsenal loadout, which gives you the ability to fire missiles and torpedoes when you have a lock. And we have Assault, which lets you shoot cannons while you're disarmed. I'll be interested to see if they maybe transfer some of that into a ship ability, or maybe even split those off into say like 2 different pilot cards where like Vendor can only take the art, like his chassis ability on Vendor's card is Assault loadout,
Right.
but somebody like Karsabi only gets the Assault configuration. Could be a way to like a standard loadout, force the upgrades on these ships.
All right, so that is what they gave us in that presentation. Lots to think about, lots to chew on. Yeah, I'm excited for the future of X-Wing. Lots of cool pilots coming out, and AMG definitely leaning into cards, which I think is important, right? It's the way I've been looking at it more recently as I continue to think about how AMG is going about adding their identity to how X-Wing is developed. As they release these different ways to release cards through the scenario packs, and of course their re-releases as they add new pilots, is they're leaning, of course, into scenarios, they're leaning into objectives, but also trying to find that balance where ideally everything has a place. Now here is our last discussion question, or maybe something to have the people think about. We can maybe hit on this next week. Is one of the narratives I'm seeing on Reddit and on the Facebook pages are people saying like, so glad World was awesome, that was great to see, loved watching the games, can't wait for the next big point change. Does there have to be a big point change? What does that mean? I feel like we're in a pretty good place. There are some things that could be tweaked. Don't be tripping. I know some of you are like, but that one pilot I hate. Again, I'm sure some things can be tweaked, but I feel like AMG has managed to find like a pretty good place where there was a pretty big diversity in ships. Some things were heavy, sure, that's always going to happen, but I think the changes at this point are going to be smaller than a big overhaul. I think the days of like, hey, look, everything is changed, won't be back, at least for a significant amount of time.
Can remind me, in the last, it wasn't really even a points change. It was when Hot Shots and Aces and the Siege and the Yavin cards were coming out. Mm-hmm. The only real change was that Resistance Y-Wings went up to 4 points, but some Resistance A-Wings went down to 3. Mm-hmm. I don't think there really was much other changes widespread
Basically,
than
some
that.
of the RZ2s went because the Y-wings had been hit prior to that.
Okay. I just
It
remember
was-
basically
it-
they traded.
It was literally, yeah.
I think the only difference.
after those couple things, because there was an actual points adjustment that happened post Gen Con.
That sounds right.
And then,
Yeah,
once-
exactly. Pre all the siege and Yava and
Yep.
stuff.
And
coming
then
out.
once we actually got the siege and stuff, we thought they were just going to be adding those points in. Because if you recall, we actually had, like, when they had points come out for Yavin, they also just kept in the points from siege that was still just in the document anyway.
Right.
But it
Why
was
update it
also
twice?
that they also adjusted the RZ2s to kind of go down one across the board, minus I think ZZ.
Yeah, so it seemed like they were taking that slow approach, maybe even like one faction at a time, especially because Resistance wasn't getting new scenario cards. They were one of the 3 factions that weren't getting a Siege or a Yavin card. So they, at that time, they felt they needed some adjustment for that. But I mean, obviously the Hot Shots and Aces made a big splash in their points. And I think that, honestly, to me, that's been enough to reinvigorate list building. But, I mean, I do want... hard to say. I like the new points, not because I think something's wrong with the game, because I want to look at lists differently.
Right.
I want to rebuild lists.
That is the
different
exciting
way.
part when you get like everything has changed. We go, we know nothing now.
Oh yeah. Back in the day, we were like, okay, well these 16 pilots all went down a point,
Right.
and all of these 20 pilots went down 2 points. The calculations are a little bit different, but I don't think, especially with the granularity now, the big sweeping dramatic changes I don't foresee. Do you, Marcel, Ryan, think of anything dramatic that could happen?
I mean, they've
for?
said that they're not going for dramatic changes really anymore. It's just tweaks here and there. Now, what their definition of tweak or definition of large changes could vary on what we think it is. I mean, we could still see 1 or 2 pilots from each faction get hit a little bit. That could still have a decent impact on the overall high competitive meta. But in the grand scheme of things, there's not a lot of changes.
Yeah, I think I don't think there's anything in there that's probably ban worthy. The only change that I would definitely want to see is just something with Kanan, whether it's just reduce the loadout so you can't take Molinder or something just to make it a little bit less oppressive. And if there's going to be minor changes, I think there's just a few ships, not pilots, just a few ships in general, a few ones like the B-Wing, for example. The B-Wing's kind of forgotten. I know that there was one in the Cup, but it was like probably the only one in the tournament.
But I mean, is that because we were wrong and we're doubting the B-Wing?
No, because
No, it turns out double
Let me
modified
ask you
proton
this,
torpedoes is good.
Could you honestly recommend a B-Wing to someone that was going to go to a competitive event?
No, I'm just
That's what I
I'm just
thought.
posing the question.
yeah, so I think there's a few tweaks that you can make, not to nerf anything. I don't think anything is ridiculously overpowered. There's a couple things that are probably not fun to play against, which Kanan would be one. I'm still not a fan of Defender Vader, and Defender Vader with I would love to just see, if we're not going with the ban, I would love to see like a 0 loadout Defender Vader. It is still amazing. It's still free.
I got a better idea of, like the 7B, split elite and full throttle and up all the full throttle ones by a whole point.
Or just Defender Vader only exists as the elite version.
Ooh, ban the full
Oh.
throttle.
Got
Yes,
'em.
please get
I mean,
out of here.
I think actually in the comics or whatever, whenever he did fly a Defender, he just said, "Give me all the offense.
Yeah,
Make it more angry, more angry."
correct.
That's
All
true.
right.
I mean, even like they really don't have to change points to change lists dramatically. A couple banned cards, a couple changed loadouts could be enough. Adding someone a missile that they never had before, a torpedo
Yeah, slot
on
too.
somebody that never has had one before could be enough to open up new list building opportunities.
Personally, my favorite thing that I want the most so far is I want Maul Infiltrator to go down to 7, but since they like their big important characters to have a lot of loadout, just ixnay the Torp slot, keep the same loadout. I would like a good 7-point ship in Separatist. Personally. I know people like the regular Dooku. I don't. I like Maul. Give me two shooting twice. I honestly, there are so many low agility ships that need help, like, especially munitions-based ones. Your Y-wings, your B-wings, your HMPs, they're just getting torn up.
Me and James counted small base single agility ships,
It's so bad.
and we count at Worlds. We counted like less than 10.
I would never recommend a small base 1 agility ship to anyone right now. And it's sad because B-wings are cool ships. I love them. Y-wings should be seen more on the board because they are one of the more iconic rebel ships.
Also, 3 different factions. So
Yeah, right? Like the Y-wings aren't Republic, Scum, Rebel, and Resistance. 4.
oh, there's 4. I forgot the Republic
4.
ones. Yes.
So many you forget about them. So, I mean, it's more likely that those ships really just need a full redesign, which I would love AMG to do. Like, actually give them a chassis ability, actually not make them fully reliant on munitions, right? Like, give them 3 dice attack primary, and just munitions will just do a little more. Maybe add like a utility like Mag Pulse, or just more damage like proton torpedoes. Who cares? Those Y-wings slap in real canon. Like
They do.
They do real damage. They're not piddly little lasers, and they're all only munitions and bombs do damage from them. They mostly are in shots in the movies where they get shot by TIE fighters and die, but then you get the cool ones in Rogue One that just, yeah, sure, they do their ion bomb run or whatever, and Zori Bliss in Episode 9, those lasers be wowing some stuff.
It's good stuff, man. It is good stuff. Well, with that, we'll definitely be back next week talking about more X-Wing, looking to the future. I feel like we're coming up, my friends, on another GSP showdown. I feel like that's probably something that should be around the corner. All right. I know Ryan went to go get his belt. I knew it. It's about time. We wrapped up the World Championships. We'll start cooling down, finish, of course, breaking it all down. And then we have to see who takes home that GSP title. We'll talk more about that later, friends. But for everybody here at Gold Squadron, be smart and be safe. Gold Squadron.